It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of The Simpsons. Chances are if I edited the video myself, then some sort of clip or reference from the series was used in some way or form. In terms of why you wouldn't survive scenarios, there's a lot of instances you could bring up in the impending 800 episodes that have aired since 1989, most notably from their annual tradition of the Treehouse of Horror specials. Honestly, I've been wanting to do a video where I discuss why you wouldn't survive on every single Treehouse scenario, but let's save that for Halloween, shall we? No, today I wanted to follow suit with last week's video on scary viruses from animated series and go from the world of Gumball to the world of Springfield. What if there were a highly contagious pathogen going around that basically turned us all into that of one mindset? One mindset so fat, lazy, stupid, and most of all, destructive. Well, let's just say it would be a Mageddon. But why? Today, we are discussing why you wouldn't survive the Homer virus. One fateful day at Springfield's nuclear power plant, Nuclear Safety Inspector Homer J. Simpson was casually taking an extended break, sitting down and eating a box of donuts. Reprimanded by his boss, Waylon Smithers, he points out that eating in the turbine room is strictly prohibited, with Homer's silhouette making up the warning sign, showing that this is kind of a common occurrence. Getting up, Homer drops a donut as it rolls through a vast majority of the floors of the power plant, shifting through highly radioactive nuclear waste, toxic chemicals, and even a life extension lab facility comprising various different tested on animals. Accumulating on the pink frosted pastry, Homer ignores the literal writing on the walls and consumes the donut whole. That night, in his sleep, the radioactive donut begins to mutate within his body, glowing through his enlarged stomach and creating a green liquid to ooze from his mouth, not alarming any of his family. Waking up to steal his neighbor Flanders' newspaper, Ned walks up to hand it to him. Thanks to his boorish nature mixed with the volatile donut that had fully digested in his stomach, Homer burped a noxious cloud into his God-fearing neighbor's face. Brushing off his gas as a joke and kind of just the usual thing that Homer does, Ned immediately begins to feel ill from it. His symptoms would worsen while sitting in the front row of Reverend Lovejoy's sermon, sweating profusely and feeling lightheaded. Flanders gets up immediately when he feels his body aching the most. At this point, he would transition from slight symptoms to complete body transformation, immediately growing a thick muzzle of hair on his face, hands becoming extremely bloated, all hair atop his head minus 2 stray follicles falling off, the body completely fattening and gaining up to just under 300 pounds. Cholesterol and everything spiking beyond belief. A person will retain their individuality for just a few more seconds as they see their body under its drastic alterations, before completely polluting the mind and forcing the person to think and act like Homer would, as the new Homer Ned would state to the shock of the entire pew that he would rather be watching football than be sitting at church on a Sunday. A frightening development, since Flanders is the definition of Flanderization, with his character trait being Christianity and church. All of that being overridden by this new form to be that of all the wants and needs of Homer Simpson, most likely caused by the mutagenic effect of radioactive waste coupled with the DNA of multiple animals, residing in Homer's anatomy as it was digested and incorporated alongside his genetics, creating an extremely viral pathogen that will effectively replace all neurons in the brain and physiological DNA with that of Homer's at the time of his mutagenic culmination, being able to be spread through the air via noxious belch clouds. This was shown to be the case right after Ned's Homerification, who let out a building-wide billowing belch cloud that enveloped the entire congregation, with Ned acting as patient, well, not 0, since Homer is patient 0, but patient 1, that the virus acting in a body outside of Homer caused it to mutate further to be a super spreader. Once it was in a non-Homer body, it made itself the most infectious form of the virus that it could be. While in Homer, his belches only reached a few feet, but within Ned, the immediate bloating housed a biohazard plant level of gas, being expelled at max power and instantly transforming anyone that inhaled the fumes. Each person devolves to the same simp state and proceeding to also hotbox the church with acid reflux. Taking less than a minute, dozens of people became Homerified. While stupid-looking and making each person extremely simple-minded, each Homer zombie would consistently expel the green vapor, constantly burping wherever they go with a green cloud coming out of their mouth, infecting anyone that unknowingly draws near the balding fat asses. In passing, turning them as well till legions of Homers were created. The gas created from each new belching person accumulating in the local air will create airborne particles that will not die out, just floating around and waiting to inhabit a new host that may, nay, will breathe it in. This may be possibly due to the copious amounts of alcohol that Homer Simpson had consumed throughout his life, as well as the wide range of weird foods and substances he had eaten, making him immune to many things, making the airborne pathogen resistant to just about everything that we could throw at it and that it would come into contact with. No form of direct air exposure, it will stay on surfaces indefinitely and will not die out. Fire will not kill it thanks to him creating the flaming Homers that eventually would be the flaming Moes. Antibiotics, with all the medications and experiments that his body has been through, or other preventatives can stop this Homer virus. It would be widespread and airborne across the city of Springfield. Quarantining efforts would be swift, but not fast enough. Scientific and medical research would discover that the virus attaches to a person's genetic code to rewrite it. Only those that are blood related to the patient zero, or Homer, would be immune to the virus. His children Bart, Lisa, and Maggie Simpson were the only individuals shown to not become Homerified when directly exposed to the air. Leading scientist Professor John Frink came to this conclusion and scooped up the children in hopes to make a vaccine, having him and numerous other medical agents in full air-filtrated biohazard suits to prevent infection. While they panicked to stop the spread, more and more people subsequently had turned into Homer, causing the air to billow out even further, making this an almost, nay, worldwide impending pandemic. Every single infected following the voracious appetites of Homer's lifestyle, eating unhealthy and fatty foods endlessly, drinking hellacious amounts of beer and alcohol, causing mass alcohol and food consumption, recklessly going about life with no restrictions, not wearing a seatbelt, bike helmet, or knowing when to slow down on unhealthy food, leading to self-imposed deaths and winning Darwin Awards while doing so. All humans on Earth would fail to do their jobs that keep society running. Homer himself is alive, mostly due to plot armor and it being a 35-plus year animated series that rarely shifts in time, but because of a functioning society that can bring him back from the brink of death time and time again. His quadruple bypass surgery, his hospitalization after failing to jump the Springfield Gorge, and many more such instances. He has been saved countless times. Planes would crash to the earth. All communication arrays would fail in weeks or even days without proper maintenance. Also, in the Treehouse of Horror segment, the Ned Zone, nuclear power plants worldwide would explode. Thousands of people would cause multi-car pileups with mass casualties. Fires would rage on with no one to put them out. In fact, any Homer zombies caught within fires would probably explode and worsen the flames thanks to their body's high blood alcohol content. The fire would just continue to rage on. Those with guns would just fire it at just about anything just for mindless entertainment. All Homers will just want to live the easiest, fat-inducing, party-going lifestyle possible and not care what it means in the long term, enacting idiotic acts and passing laws that push an agenda of non-stop partying that forgoes any kind of longevity for survival. Most deadly of all would be that all means of food production and water filtration would cease. Coupled with the Homer zombies' insatiable hunger and thirst, supplies would dwindle and not be replenished whatsoever. Professor Frink knew of this doomsday scenario and attempted to take Homer in to have his DNA directly extracted in the hopes of a cure. However, Homer quickly stops the brilliant mind's speech about the end of the world, rebuting that a world of only Homers is just like living in paradise. Despite seeing the world already crumbling around him, he still wanted it to be to his own specifications, to be a lax society with no work, no rules, and only fun and food. Even when he saw his own wife Marge had been Homerified, he simply called her more attractive and sat next to her watching watching videos and eating pork rinds. While the sentiment is nice, we all know Homer's not into fat chicks.
There's no fat chicks? I got sprayed by the skunk. No fat chicks.
Regardless, Homer had shown a homosexual attraction to his Homer-fied wife and made the decision to be a chubby chaser, and in doing so, shows no qualms with turning the world into veritable clones of himself. Homer tries to impose this on the fearful professor by scratching his back, causing a leak in his biohazard suit, allowing the tainted air to spew in, converting his brilliant mind into a simple-minded doughhead in 6 seconds. Without a cure or vaccine, the virus will spread worldwide unabated, electing foodies as world leaders, turning establishments into gorging events, all exhaustive in draining global resources, everything being consumed by fire from partying and reckless abandon, nuclear fallout from unkempt facilities, and more. Nowhere will be safe. If you are having to breathe, you are having to be a Homer. Your mind and body will be that of Homer J. Simpson. Everything that made you will be deleted and replaced. At first, it will seem fun. No restrictions on diets or laws slowing you down until you're bleeding out from being shot, going 120 miles through a windshield, crashing to Earth in an unmanned plane, dying of a heart attack, keeling over from alcohol poisoning, and eventually, when there's no food or drinking water left, dying of starvation and thirst. This lifestyle is unmanageable, especially in mass without a proper society to keep things up. As shown in a previous Treehouse of Horror special where Homer made countless clones of himself thanks to a magic hammock, it's blatantly well known how susceptible Homers are to letting themselves die rather easily when hundreds jumped into a ravine chasing giant donuts. It was shown even there that their reckless eating would exhaust worldwide food supplies in days, eating crops and more in no time. So the same rules would apply here. A world of Homers would be like a swarm of locusts, unendingly breeding until nothing is left on the planet, killing off all animals and plant life in a struggle to survive until Earth is a barren wasteland. Those that are still alive by the end, again, there is no TV and no beer, so Homer is gonna go crazy, and that means all these Homers worldwide would end up killing each other over the scraps of what is left, leaving behind only the skeletal remains of all these infected humans, all looking the same, being these big-boned ignoramuses, leaving any society that finds us to wonder how we even thrived and existed in the first place. And all we can really say in response to all of that is, dope. That about wraps up this look into a Treehouse of Horror special. What do you think? Is there something I missed or should have explained more? Do you want more of these segments in the future? Let me know down below and what you want to see next. Make sure to support the channel by contributing to me on Patreon as a patron or becoming a YouTube channel member or chipping in a buck or two over on my second channel WSG Streams during my weekly live streams of Left 4 Dead 2 where we play with friends and fans, so you can be on this list going by right now. And you can see videos up to a week early. Until next time, I'm Zach S, aka Wild Such Gaming. Never forget to stay happy, stay healthy, stay a yellow belly, and most importantly, stay wow.